the vanishing footsteps, lost in the fog. A dense mist clung to the earth like a phantom shroud, swallowing everything in its path. The town of Blackwood had always been known for its eerie fog, rolling in from the sea and creeping through the streets like silent ghosts. But tonight, the fog was different, heavier, colder, filled with whispers that sent chills down the spine. Thomas Greaves pulled his coat tighter around his shoulders as he trudged down the empty cobblestone streets. The gas lamps flickered dimly, their light barely penetrating the suffocating whiteness. It was past midnight, and he had lingered too long at the Rusty Lantern, the old pub by the docks. The warmth of the fire and the company of old fishermen had made him forget the time. Now, alone in the fog, he wished he had stayed just a little longer. His boots echoed against the stones as he quickened his pace, but something was off. The echo, there was a delay, a hesitation, as if his footsteps weren't alone. He stopped, holding his breath. Silence, then another step, just beyond the edge of visibility. His heart pounded. Was someone following him? He turned sharply, peering into the dense fog, but saw nothing, just an endless white void stretching before him. He told himself it was just the fog playing tricks, yet the uneasy feeling gnawed at him. He resumed walking, this time listening carefully. One step, another, then a whisper. The words were faint, carried by the damp air, unintelligible yet unmistakably human. Thomas swallowed hard and picked up his pace, but the whispers grew louder. They seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, shifting in tone as though a chorus of unseen voices spoke in hushed urgency. The street he walked every night now felt unfamiliar, distorted by the mist. He turned a corner, hoping to find the familiar sight of his boarding house, but instead, he found himself in an alleyway he had never seen before. The walls loomed high, damp with condensation, and the ground beneath his feet was softer, like wet earth rather than stone. The whispers ceased. Then came the footsteps. Not his own. Slow, deliberate, coming closer. Thomas's breath came in quick gasps. He turned again, retracing his steps, but the alley was gone. The fog had swallowed it whole. He was now in an open field, though he had no memory of walking there. He spun around, disoriented. The town was gone. The lamps, the streets, the buildings, everything had vanished. Only the dense, ghostly mist remained, stretching endlessly into the unknown. Panic clawed at his throat. He wasn't drunk, at least not enough to hallucinate. He rubbed his eyes, willing himself to wake up, but this was real, too real. The footsteps came again, closer now, crunching the unseen ground. He turned sharply, his voice cracking as he called out, "Who's there?" Silence. Then, out of the fog, a figure emerged, tall and thin, draped in what looked like a long, tattered coat. Its face was obscured, shrouded in shadow, yet Thomas could feel its gaze boring into him. "Are you lost?" the figure asked, its voice deep and hollow. Thomas took a step back. "Who are you?" The figure did not answer. Instead, it took a step forward, and as it did, the fog shifted slightly, revealing something horrifying beneath Thomas's feet. Footprints, hundreds of them, leading to where he stood, but there were no prints leading away, as if whoever had walked here had never left. His breath hitched. "I need to go home." The figure tilted its head. "Home," it repeated, as though the word was foreign. "There is no home beyond the fog." Thomas turned and ran. He didn't care where, just away. His feet pounded against the earth as he tore through the mist, but no matter how far he ran, the fog remained the same, thick, unending, suffocating. The whispers returned, now frantic, overlapping, a chaotic symphony of lost voices. And then he saw them. Silhouettes in the fog, dozens of them, figures standing still, watching. Their faces were obscured, their bodies barely visible through the mist, but their presence was undeniable. Thomas stopped in his tracks, his body trembling. The figures did not move, did not speak, only stood in eerie stillness. And then, one by one, they lifted their hands and pointed at him. A cold wave of dread crashed over him. He staggered back, his pulse hammering. "No! No! This isn't real!" he shouted. But the fog shifted again, and he felt something at his back, a breath, cold and slow, against his neck. "Run!" the voice whispered. Thomas obeyed. He ran blindly, lungs burning, fear driving him forward. He did not know where he was going, only that he had to escape. The whispers turned into wails, the figures blurred past him, and the world itself seemed to unravel. He felt himself falling, plunging into darkness, the mist closing in from all sides. Then nothing. When he woke, the fog was gone. He lay on the cobblestone streets of Blackwood, gas lamps flickering gently overhead. The town was silent, undisturbed. His hands trembled as he pushed himself up. Had it been a nightmare? A drunken hallucination? But when he looked down, he saw them, his footprints, leading to where he lay. But there were none leading away. And somewhere, in the distance, the fog began to creep in once more.